welcome back to Jasmine's Journey. I'm Jasmine Leslie, and I'm here focused, aligned, connected. You already know, gotta light my incense. This is Patchouli, and I'm here to really speak from my spirit. God, thank you. Yes, so I got my tea here as well in my Mississippi cup. My Focus Women Taste Better crew neck, shot the rosebud bread. My favorite tea mug. But I have green tea in here. I have blue lotus, mullein, and I forgot the last herb that I put in there. But I also topped it off with some agave. If you've never had agave in your tea, please, you heard it here first. You really heard it here first. Don't even act like that. Don't even act like. So for the last 2 years, or year, wow, it feels like 2 years, but for the last year, I have been on what I call the journey to my highest self. And essentially what initiated my journey was me going to this tour with 19 Keys. He's a thought leader in our culture. If you don't know, now you know. But I went, and it was just so much Black excellence, so many jewels, gems dropped, that it made me see more for myself, my community, my culture. And I really had to ask myself, like, okay, have you been embodying who you are as your highest? Like, have you actually been trying to expand into your highest potential? And I thought that expanding into my highest meant having to do more, right? Having to do more. And in a sense, you do, but since I took a trip to Belize, but since coming back from Belize, I recognized that I had been building mainly my business, but a lot of the work that I was putting out came from a place of performance. And when I went to Belize, it was just still. It was just stillness. It was quiet. It was calm. And it made me have to really dive deep within myself. Like, okay, what is it exactly that you're truly seeking? Because it feels incredible to be here, to do what you love doing, meaning enjoying life, living intentionally, exploring, adventuring, being with my partner, seeing life lived in different ways. And I was a military child, so pretty much like every 3 years of my life I've had to move. I didn't know how valuable that was. And as an adult, along the lines, things just got so serious. And I didn't mean serious in a way of like taking care of your responsibilities. I meant more so as like, we are not, as human beings, put on this earth with the spirits that we have to just be worker bees. We are here to do God's work, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's all in the physical. And the more that you just output, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be living the most fulfilled life that sometimes you even will pray to God for, or ask for, or desire for yourself, or whatever it is that feels like fulfillment to you. And so just since being back, I've gotten so much more clear on my true desires of how I want to live my life. What does work look like for me? Because I set myself up for success already. And so it's had me have to dial back. And also, of course, while I've been on this journey to myself, I've been addressing deep-seated wounds and understanding that my past life had been built from a space that I'm just no longer in. Thank God. I'm no longer in that space. And when I, throughout this journey, as I have been diving deeper into myself, my spirit, I recognize that trauma forms habits and patterns and cycles in your life. And if you are not aware of said habits, so on and so forth, then you're just going to continue repeating the same thing for years and years and years. And it's almost like you can get in this space of autopilot that you don't allow yourself to expand from because you're so stuck on this. And I am big on meditation because, Joe Dispenza put it best that you really have to get to a place with yourself where you're able to observe like what's going on, your thoughts, your habits, and be very intentional about the decisions that you make for yourself in each moment, the thoughts that you think, what you surround yourself around, what you allow yourself to be influenced by on a daily basis. That matters. And I also was living in survival mode when I have not had to live there in I don't even know how fucking long. And I had to go back. I'm like, where did this even begin? Realizing that when I was in the military, I knew I was going to get out, right? But I signed 6 years. I got in. I'm about 2.5, 3 years in where I'm like, okay, you know what? I know this is not for me because I do feel like God wants more for me. So I was like, okay, God, listen, I'm ready to get out. Can you please get me out of here? And I will align with you. Whatever it is that you need me to do, God, I will do it. I don't... What it is, whatever you need from me, I'm willing to be the vessel for that. And I'm willing to, bring the vision to pass. Now, at the time, I didn't know what I was truly asking for because my spirit, I also needed to make sure that I was maintaining my spirit. My spirit. This is about really devoting time to nurturing your emotional well-being. And coming from the military, that was just a place that didn't value prioritizing your mental health and wellness just because sometimes it just affects the mission if you tend to those things. And so that was a reason. I remember one time I tried to go talk to the chaplain, and do you know, they were like, can you just reschedule? I'm like, do you understand, y'all? I was trying to go talk to the chaplain. It was like 4 p.m. They wanted me to stay even later. And I'm like, calling the chaplain, Chaplain Spencer, shout out to you. I'm like, so this person is saying I can't come. Chaplain's like, what? If you need to come, you need to come here. I'm like, well, they're saying that I can't. He's like, do I need to call somebody? And I'm like, no, you shrinking myself, shrinking my priorities, not really voicing that, hey, I actually do want you to contact somebody so I can really get the assistance that I need. So moving forward from that, that was just one example of me understanding like, hey, they're not going to be catering to your mental health and wellness. Okay? And it got to a point where I was so depressed, I was so stressed, I was smoking, I was drinking, not weed, I was smoking Black and Miles, oh Lord. I was smoking Black and Miles because I just felt like, okay, that was my way to relieve my stress. I'm drinking because I'm like, finally we can get off and I can just relax. And it's like, had I known then what I know now, of course I would have done different things to just even further set myself up for what God had for me. However, I do believe that it was all part of the greater good. And when I finally talked to God and said the prayer and I'm like, let's move forward, that is when things became very dark. I had a conversation with, it's challenging to speak about because when I describe it, it's like, unless you are in that field, people don't really understand. But let me make a very long story short. So my position in the military was in the JAG Corps, which is essentially the legal system for the military, but I was in the Air Force. So the way that the office structure is set up, I'm in contact with officers all day long. There's not, or at this office, there just wasn't as many enlisted members, maybe like 5, including myself. And there were just more officers and higher ranking. And so we come in contact with the colonel, almost every colonel, lieutenant colonel, judge advocate general, which is basically the HBIC in the office. And over the course of the time this person was the leader, behind closed door conversations, behind open door conversations, I didn't feel as though this person was just the best leader. And I'm like, okay, y'all are disrespectful, especially to Black and brown people. There's extreme prejudice here. You're discriminating on how punishments are given out. This is not morally sexy. This is not ethically sexy. And these are people that are in charge of other people. And I'm like, this is just not right. So I tried to go speak to someone about this, and they felt offended by me using my voice. And they came back. This colonel came back to sit down and talk to me, and essentially was just talking shit. I don't trust you. Wrote on, it was this piece of paper, I actually still have it, but it was like this thing called an EPR. She literally wrote on it and basically said that she don't trust me. She don't trust me being in the office. The only thing I did was pretty much kept my standards in uniform, but I also didn't keep standards in uniform. It was just a bunch of bullshit. And I cried my eyes out in there because I was like, I remember I even was being harassed. Y'all, I was being harassed on the base by God fucking knows who. It was like, let's pick the day. But I was being harassed, and she even made fun of that shit. I didn't have my damn shit stolen out of my fucking room. She just wasn't, she's like, it was, to me, just very racially motivated. She don't understand probably why I open my voice, why I even use my voice. And the thing about it was a closed door conversation of us speaking. So she went home, got an attitude, came back, and then wanted to enforce her power over my career. And it was challenging because I was like, I don't understand how someone can say that I am this. But 2 months earlier, she had to sign off on a package that allowed me to be Airman of the Quarter, which I won. You had to sign off on that. And it said I was this, that, and this, and that, and this, and that, and this, all great things. And then 2 months later, I come back and I'm this. You're so full of motherfucking shit. Oh my gosh. Ew. I see you for who you are, and I called it out. And she got my ass kicked out. But it was okay, because you know what? I raised motherfucking hell before I left out that motherfucker. And I loved it, because it wasn't like I physically did anything, but I had, I wrote the congressman, I wrote the general of the career field, I filed a complaint, I did all that I could. I even made a video on YouTube that went viral, but at the time, I don't feel like my spirit was even ready to be that voice. And it was like God gave me the opportunity. The video was going stupid, okay? And I recognized then that I'm like, it was just, it's so funny, because when you really have to find the lesson in everything. You have to find a lesson in everything. And for so long, I carried that wound with me, and it affected my ability to see myself, because I'm like, oh my gosh, how can someone have this much power over you to kick you out? But it's like, okay, you wanted to get out anyway, did you not? Yes. Did I want to get out that way? No. However, God gave you your testimony. You've been put through test after test after test after test. You've been put through it. And you put on the armor of God, and you move forward through it, and you've been focused. I ain't saying I've been perfect, but I have been focused. And let me drink my tea. What the last year has made me realize is that I truly am powerful. My voice holds power, and I also need to be using it without fear of judgment, because people are gonna do it anyway. I had someone, it's so sad. Some things that people do these days are just so sad, but I had hosted an event, and I found out, it got back to me that somebody had came to the event to talk shit about the event. And I'm like, y'all, we was out there to about 3 a.m. The person was out there till 3 a.m. talking shit. I'm like, you're such a fucking loser. Who does things like that? And it's different situations in my journey, especially over the last year, that I've just been like, what is it that I am doing? And is it truly for my highest? And what is it that you need to continuously let go of in your life that allow you to meet yourself at your highest on a more continuous basis? And like I said, just different scenarios have presented themselves over the course of my journey, but especially just within this last year, 2 years really, that have brought me even closer to myself and to my connection with God, strengthening my connection with God, to understand that I'm here to change the world. And if I don't change the world, I'll be the person who sparked the brain of someone who did. So understanding my own power and my value just really came from seeing things as they are. Not what you want them to be, not the illusion that you created, not how much time you have with this or how attached you are to it or whatever. It just see it for what it is. And when you speak to God, making sure that it's what is in the plan for you in your journey. And that has caused me to have to really let go of just these old versions that don't even serve me. Letting go of old versions means letting go of the way I was making decisions before, because I feel as though that situation, that wound that was created, from what happened, and when I say what happened, just me being discharged, it made me feel as though I had to perform or over-explain myself or defend what I was doing or prove that I could do this without the military, so on and so forth, when it's not even about doing anything. It's about being in alignment with God's plan, and that was a part of the plan. And I'm grateful, I'm so grateful that I experienced that, because it truly did set me up for success. I'm in a place in my life where I'm actually able to do what I want to do on a daily basis. And what I want to do is making sure that I just stay disciplined in my journey. And discipline for me has made me have to really just free myself in the ways that I didn't even know I had to be free. I was limiting myself in receiving what God has for me just by being attached or thinking that I had to hold on to ways that I was able to relate to certain things, to certain people, to certain places. And the more that I just, again, embody my personal freedom, I find way more fulfillment. And that's so valuable to me because I have 2 young boys, and I want them to know that they can live a life where they're able to be themselves and create some structure for themselves, that situations like this don't have power over them. Because this situation, I gave so much of my power away for so long, and I didn't see how that was really pouring into other relationships I had, or pouring into my business. And even just the way that I was doing business, initially I feel as though God gave me the idea, right? But how was I maintaining the vision? And it comes from having a level of discipline, which I do, applaud the military, because my mom, it was strict, okay? I was already a soldier in the house, but then also getting in myself and seeing what structure can do for you and how you can use it to your benefit. It doesn't mean that you have to live a restricted life, but it's just about a life that really serves your true vision. I keep saying vision, but where there is no vision, the people shall perish. Where there is no vision, the people shall perish. And we live in a society where you can see clearly that people don't have vision. A lot of people are chasing this material. Don't get me wrong. The material, to me, it's just like the material is for pleasure. But if you could strip me of all this shit today, and then I'm still gonna be who I am. So I'm not attached to it. But I know that by staying focused, by staying connected to myself, by staying in alignment with God's vision for me, I am receiving all that I truly desire, because that's the desire that God put in my heart. So it just feels good when you are not a victim of your story and you decide to be a victor, and you walk with a level of confidence that allows you to not even be affected by the enemy's schemes and scams. It's just like, you know what? I see what's going on. And let me just surrender it and give it to God. Because surrendering it, it's out of your hands. It's not even for you to be burdened by. And that's something that was so a part of the old past versions of me, that I used to just overthink the outcome of certain things. Overthink scenarios. Not even necessarily giving God the space. Because it's like we want God to work in our lives, but it's like, okay, where's the space that you're giving God to work from? Because you're trying to do things this way, and it may not be that it has to just be this way, because it could be this way for now, and it's that way, and then this that way, and then this that way. You know, it's not gonna just always be a straight line, but you will always have clear direction. And even when I say that, clear direction means, okay, I'm gonna trust what I'm being told. I want to trust what I'm being told, okay? And then what I am going to do is put one foot in front of the other. And I'm going to stay grounded in it. And I'm just going to wait for the next, I'm going to wait for the next instruction. So, I will say that it changed me, and it changed me for the better. And I'm grateful that I've been able to have this journey, this experience. I feel like I'm saying farewell, but I am. You see, the all black is a funeral. It's a death to that thought world. It's death to the old ways, the old patterns, the old beliefs that were a part of this personality that I no longer am showing up in. And wow, I'm free. I do this shit for my fucking ancestors. My people could not do the shit that God is allowing me to do. Fucking rest, relax, live intentionally, travel, spend time with my kids. Spend time with my fucking kids. Watching my kids grow up, having slow ass mornings, having a slow weekend. Not being concerned about fucking money. I didn't understand how much of society always has to be concerned about money from the time to wake up to the time to go to sleep. And it's just like, that's not even a stressor that I have in my household. I was in the military worried about money. So, this is about thriving.
This is knowledge. We spent decades trying to make a change for the people.
I know exactly who I am and where I came from.
Who are you then?
I'm free. How do I look?
Like you.